We should get started then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. Hello and welcome to another podcast episode. And I'm super excited today to have Gabe Fielding and Fielding Tree Care over in Denver joining me.
Hey,
Thanks,
buddy.
Gabe, so much for coming in. Before I head to you though, I'm just going to do a quick shout out to Kirsty and Stella because they actually got in contact with Jason and gave us some really positive feedback about the podcast. And
Good.
just wanted to thank them for that. Um, so, Gabe, first question before we get into who you are and what you do, in your opinion, what is the difference that allows companies that really strive and make it in the market from those that struggle and just survive?
The million-dollar question,
Million
right?
dollar question.
Yeah. I hope it's a two or three or four or $5 million question.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, I mean, from experience, and just looking around at the climate out here and the environment of how we all work together as tree services in the community, I know for a fact that I can rest my head on my pillow at night knowing that knowing your numbers is the number one thing in success and failure. That's it. You know your numbers, whether you're profitable or you're not. And I think a wise man once
Mm,
said, the idea is to go out and make more money than you spend. And it really is that simple. But
killer.
there's so many different ways um, that people operate their companies to get to that final product. That's really what we need to talk about.
Yeah, and some people do operate at a massive loss just to get the jobs, I suppose, which is not sustainable, right?
It's not sustainable, and I've heard it. When I've been through, it's 26 years now or 27 years doing the job, and you start out working for a lot of people before you start your own company,
Mhm.
and that doesn't even, and, that's a whole nother caveat. It doesn't really prepare you for when you do go out and start your own. There's just always surprises, and it's unpredictable, and its own beast. But you start picking up on what other people are doing, whether it resonates with you or not. And you hear things like it doesn't matter if we make money or not as long as we have our trucks out there, we're getting exposure. And you kind of believe that because you see somebody out there that's been doing it for a while. You don't know their books or their numbers or anything. But you realize pretty quickly, like if you do go out, and especially in the winter times, and operate at a loss, I mean, we've done it at our company, just kind of, been willing to lose, $10,000 a week and until the spring kicks back up again. And this, I know from you talk about success and failures that that's not a great way to go about it. There's smarter ways to get exposure out there and not kill your company's bottom line or your capital,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, especially if a truck breaks down or something like that and you've got to fix it because
That's it.
expenses come up all the time, right?
All
And
the all the time. All the
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Gabe, tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do. Tell us everything.
Oh yeah. So my name is Gabe Fielding. I'm originally from Rhode Island. That's in New England, United States of America, on the Far East Side in this little corner. I grew up there, and I went to the Navy for 4 years. I spent some time out there doing a couple Mediterranean cruises for 6 months at a time. Did some time in Virginia Beach and whatnot, and then got out and. I'm a failed rock star. I tried to be a rock star after that. I tried to start a band. We had a band back in Rhode Island called the Loaded Bananas.
Awesome.
Um, I even have a CD. I should have had that
Oh,
ready for a
really?
prop.
Okay, I
Yeah.
want a copy of that CD for sure. I
Oh
want a
yeah, no.
t-shirt and a hat too. One thing I can't do is the hair. That's
Yeah, we'll give you that for sure. But yeah, we tried that for a couple of years, and it obviously, it had its degree of success and whatnot, and then decided that I was going to just start going back to school, use the GI Bill and whatnot. And while I was doing that, kind of still trying to figure out what to do with life, my friend said, "Hey, why don't you come in and work with us?" We work down in Newport and Jamestown, which is a really beautiful area of Rhode Island. There's the bridges down there, the ocean. You get into the trees, and there's a view of the whole bay and Block Island. I mean, it's drop dead gorgeous. And the minute I saw my friend climb, I said, "That's it. I know exactly what I want to do with the rest of my life. For better or for worse. That's what I
And
saw."
I saw that story on your website. Actually,
Oh yeah.
I really resonated with that story as well. What was it about the climbing that just attracted you to it?
Oh my gosh, you don't know what it is at first. You have no idea because it's just a feeling. And then as you unpack those layers of feelings as you get older and can identify what it is that you like the most. I mean, I'm just one of those personalities that has that Peter Pan type thing. I have a hard time growing up or whatever. When I get into the
Yes.
trees, yeah, it's great. And on top of that, with the ADHD, it feeds right into it. Like this point of focus, you know that from climbing rocks. Like
Right on.
your sphere of influence is only 6 feet tall by four
Yeah.
feet or 5 feet wide, and that's you got your narrowed focus, and then you get to feel what it feels like, that energy exchange between a rock or a tree, atmosphere, environment,
Love it.
and just your flow. There's just something in certain people it wakes up, like a
Mm,
primordial feeling or whatever,
mm,
and that's what I
mm,
got from it. And then just the aesthetic, the physical challenge. I mean, my gosh, it's everything I ever wanted at that time,
mm.
you know?
So you were enamored by that, became a climber, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and it's this was back in the day when people didn't give you a chance to climb. You had to run a rake on the ground for 1 year before you could even
Mm,
whisper the idea of climbing to someone, and finally they give you your shot, and of course you'd fail miserably, because you're too excited. You finally get up there, you're trying to tie a knot, and your hands are next thing you know, it's a disaster. But when I did start getting my shot to go up there, I learned pretty fast how hard of a job it was and how challenging it was going to be to
mm,
to match the vision that I saw in my head of climbing. And then it's years of really limited knowledge and learning, because you're kind of just doing it on your own. Nobody around you really knows
mm,
what's going on. This is the dark age of tree work, but this is like the late 90s,
mm,
early 2000s, when someone showed you a Blake's hitch and you were like, like, oh my gosh, what is that thing? And then it went to Prussics and VTs and
mm.
helmets and boots and interchanging rock climbing stuff with tree climbing stuff, and it started to get a little sexy, you know
I could talk about Prussics all day. I'm just
Oh
saying.
yeah. Oh, they're great. They're beautiful. They're elegant. They're just so nice. And
So what
it's
about? Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, it's just a lost art. I mean, nowadays we transferred over to, like,
Mm,
zigzags and
mm,
great pieces of equipment, but we are losing that, like
mm.
the knot tie ability, that emergency stuff, just in case you're in trouble and something fails. We have to know
Right,
these things.
right. Yeah, actually, that's interesting because one of the things that when I'm teaching somebody to the skills to climb rock, one of the things is it's okay, you can go up, but how are you going to get down if you're in
Totally.
a situation where you've dropped some equipment or you're stuck or the weather
Right.
comes in or whatever. And
Ooh.
the number of people that don't know, it's amazing,
Oh, I bet.
and they get a sort of aha moment when you teach them how to get down safely, you know.
Yeah, then and know the all the different tools you can
Mm.
have for that. And like, when
Yeah.
you have like a figure eight ascender, one of the best pieces of equipment you could ever have on your harness, no matter what you do. Have to have it.
Showing your age now.
Ah, and I'll tell you, tried, tested, and true. I would
Yeah,
take that. I'm gonna be
exactly.
buried with that thing like this in my chest with a
Exactly.
wink. Yeah, I told you.
So, so then you went from working for other people. Eventually, you started your own company.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that because that's where I
Oh,
really want to get into now. Is you're pretty successful, I believe.
mm.
From the moment you started to start your own company, what was the journey like?
That's an interesting time too. Like you go back and you constantly replay it in your mind how it went. Because being a person like myself, I'm hypercritical of what I should have done, how I could have done it different and stuff. But I just had that feeling inside. My gut was telling me, man, you have to learn everything about this job, get as many pickles as you can possibly get in, find your way out of it, so that when you do start this thing and you give this to other people to do for you, you've got their back. It's not just you in a tree for 4 hours. Now you got three climbers in there. They all know how to communicate. They're all on the same page. What structure pruning is, what proper cuts look like, proper
Mm,
planning. We taught you, that with rock climbing, those routes. I mean, trees the same thing. You have a route, and the more efficient the route, the more efficient the climb is going to be. Easier it's going to be, the safer it's going to be. And I would develop sacred acorns of knowledge in my head. I had a saying: "There's an always and a never, and never a sometimes, unless there's an unless." And this
mm,
has like become my mission statement stuff, and like just the philosophies and this and that you come up with while you're doing this. You're like, all right, I think I'm at a point now with rigging, roping, GRCSs, every piece of equipment, cranes, know how to do cranes inside and out, what size you're going to need on a property, how the distance you're going to get, how much it's going to weigh when you get there, how much does the wood weigh. Last thing we ever want to do in this business is tip a crane over or ever hurt anybody. And you got to build that confidence and trust up with a crane operators, and they'll give you autonomy in a tree more. And I learned all that stuff, and it was pretty painful doing that. You're working subcontracting for 5 or 6 or 7 different companies, and everybody has their own way of doing
mm,
stuff. And you're this outside guy that comes in and just says, like, I got this. Just, I got it. You just drag the brush and rake up and we'll be okay until you find out you're also dragging the brush and raking up and doing everything on top of that. But when it was finally time, I knew it in my heart of hearts. I had my first kid. He was born in, this is actually his birthday this week. He was born in 2011 in February. And I just looked at my wife and I said, I'm out. I'm doing this. We're
Mm.
doing it. And that was when she quit her job.
So you
Oh,
went
yeah.
full in,
Oh, I went all
right?
in. Yeah.
First
Yeah.
kid, wife's quit the job. I'm doing this.
Yes. Yes. We'll
Love
talk
it.
about regrets later. Yeah. And that's one of them. Starting early would have been a little bit better, but we did it. We did it. We hit the ground. I found two really great guys from Michigan, Frank Varga, Skylar Prinz. They still work out here in separate places. And I got to tell you, when you meet two people like that, you just have this feeling that, oh, this is going to be good.
Mm,
These
mm,
guys knew
mm,
exactly what to do, how to do it. They were best friends, still best friends, all that kind of stuff. It's
mm.
just, and then we started developing a culture just with the three of us, and that's where it started.
Awesome. You just dove in,
Yeah, I
literally.
mean, this is all I do. It's the
But
swamp up here.
here's the kicker though. You dove in, but you actually knew what you were doing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, that was
important,
the,
right? You'd already put years into it instead of just
yes,
saying, you know what, I'm going to start a company or buy a company.
yeah. I,
That's
it's
interesting.
I gotta tell you, Graham, with that, I don't think that a tree company is a great idea or option if you don't have the knowledge to do it. I feel like the business itself, the model behaves differently than any other company. It's not selling a
Mm,
product. It's really sweat equity, and it really is building a culture with people that you can take out in the community and grow. People feel that they don't want just a rubber stamp thing all the time. They really want you to develop relationships with them. I mean, you're taking
mm,
care, especially out here in Colorado, trees don't grow. And if you get them to grow, it's the only shade you have in your yard. And if you lose that, it's Arizona, it's Phoenix. Nothing
mm,
against Arizona, Phoenix, but it's very hot. And people don't want that here. They want
mm,
to look outside and see a tree, flowers on it in spring, the rhythm in the landscapes, the height, the depth. They want the shade on their house. I mean,
mm.
it's lovely, it's
So
irreplaceable.
when when you start your company and you got no customers, you're talking about building.
Mm,
Um, you know, the difference is that you're building a community around you that know you. How do
yeah.
you even start that?
Yeah. Yeah, the other $1 million question. And that's the thing. You can plan it to death. You can plan it to death. You can write all the notes you want. You can build all the models you want, but it really is there's luck involved with all this. There's
Mm,
blessings from above, there's all that stuff that goes into it. I was fortunate enough to move out here in 2001 with a bunch of friends. I mean, well, a lot of people from Raleigh moved out here. My future wife at the point, she moved out here too. And so they had a lot of friends, being here for a few years before I got here, where they knew people, and I would work for them and their
mm,
friends, and then they started to tell their friends, and then I always liked, for whatever reason, I was really drawn to the Centennial area. Centennial, Colorado. I really enjoy the landscape out here, and started working in this area with my first boss there with an RTR tree service back in the day, and Wayne is his name. And we worked out here, and I was like, I think I want this. Like I was sitting
mm,
there with this truck and chipper one day. I was like, I really think I want this thing, and like just as you're meeting people, as you're working for them, and you kind of want that really like that feeling that you had back east, where like everybody knew each other. It was like a real family environment back there. Ah, your
right.
sister Joey, Jimmy, Tommy, Bobby, I know him. Yeah, he used to do trees over here, and all that. I kind of wanted that here, and so I
Mm,
I willed it to happen. I kept on seeing it, and I would just go out in the community and meet people, just meet as many people as possible, and that's kind of how it all started.
mm. It's funny actually because in business people talk about vision boards and talk about
Hmm.
visualizing your future, and
Sure.
it gets all a bit kind of weird, but there's something in that. I
Hmm.
believe, if you
Oh
really
yeah.
know, like if you think about what you want and where you're going and really visualize it, you get there in the end.
It's
You
true.
know?
You have to
Yeah.
put stuff out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I, I
sure. Yeah.
I think you can think all the stuff you want, but there's a point where, and we had this thing going on with our company for a while where we had the magic whiteboard, and we put a number on at the beginning of the year. We're going to hit this number this year. And we did that, we're not doing it now, but we did it for like 10 years. Everywhere he'll be like, it's the magic whiteboard. Whenever something
We have
happens.
one too. I've got it pinned to Jason's forehead, literally.
Write something on
Like,
it.
yeah,
Ferrari.
that's it. So what services did you start with when you? Because if you have all that experience, I'm assuming that you didn't have all the money to buy the equipment.
Well, here we go,
You
right?
know.
So I,
So
yeah, I went into massive debt. Massive debt. I
okay.
bought as much as I could as soon as I could because I wanted the trucks and chippers and realized really quickly that having just one truck and one chipper leaves you extremely vulnerable to not working. One thing
Mm,
happens, and next thing you know, it's 3 months later. You got to borrow trucks and chippers. My good friend Kurt from Stone Creek, Kurt Gottlieb there from Stone Creek, when we broke our chipper, let me borrow his or rent his for like a month or two. It basically single-handedly saved our company. That's the network community
oh,
thing.
okay.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
are
I
you
was like,
saying you should have bought like two chippers?
yeah, yeah. I should
Okay.
buy. I have three now. I mean, and we
Yeah.
run one crew or two sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have to have the Noah's Ark type thing. You have to have two of everything so that you can run one of everything. You know
Yeah. Huh. So
what?
you got to get into debt. You got to
Yeah,
if you don't come from a money family, you want to start your
Mhm.
company, you got to buy the equipment, and it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So
It goes
better have
wrong.
a backup because if you don't have a backup, you're not making money.
Right.
That's what you're saying, right?
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it becomes an
Yeah.
inconvenience for everybody. Oh,
Mm,
customers, hey, well, I'll come pick the brush up off your lawn next week. And that just, I never liked the idea of that. I figured it'd be better just to go and get everything. And then when we had
mm,
COVID, there, like we were inundated with work. I mean, nobody was going anywhere. They were spending their
mm,
money on tree and
mm.
landscape and stuff
Right.
like that. And the interest rates were, minor. So I
Right.
went and bought. We were at $1.5 million in
Mm,
equipment debt for a little
mm,
while.
mm.
I think currently we're at 225,000, so we're
Mm.
almost there.
Yeah,
But
that's not bad.
yeah, yeah.
But I guess I mean, you got customers who are it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
going up.
yeah.
You got customers who are waiting for you to come and do a job. So if your piece of equipment breaks down and you can't do that, you've got a whole scheduling nightmare, maybe
Oh,
cancellation. I imagine as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I want to avoid all
Mm.
that. I want to be able to just have, hey, let's take this piece of equipment and keep in the shop. Or we have a great mechanic. He's always able to keep stuff in rotation and keep it going and keep the fleet moving. And that's another
Yeah.
huge thing too. As far as having a business, if you're going to have anything around that $2.5 million range, I highly advise having, hire an in-house mechanic. You just have to.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
just
that
have
makes
to.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
reminds me actually when we went on vacation and rented one of those big camper van things to drive around with, and they had all the mechanics in the back. They were fixing the equipment to make sure it was ready for people to come and pick up. If they didn't have that, it would have been a nightmare if
Oh my
something
gosh,
had gone wrong, right?
yeah, I can only imagine.
I love
But
that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's worth it for sure.
that's
Lots of
interesting.
equipment, mechanic, lots of debt. I mean, there you go.
You're
That's
selling
probably the
it.
worst advice for all the guys. They're
I
like,
love.
what?
You know what? You might say it's worse advice, but it's a wake up call as well. It's reality because
Right, it is.
certainly with my business, I dream of, I don't know, doing this, that, and the other. And then I realize I can't do it because I
Right.
don't have, the reality is I can't do it yet because I don't have that money or, where I want to get it from. But you can't hide from the fact that that is what you got to do to make it happen.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we have to reframe those questions as of now, I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
The, I I can't buy any more equipment because my wife will kill me. So that's a solid can't do.
Does that mean do you think your personality is fairly resilient against risk?
Ooh, well,
Is
here's
is
here's
is
I
that
love your
how?
$1 million questions. No, 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 I'm not. I'm extremely vulnerable. My personality is it's a thing, right? So when you have this dedication and you're
Mm,
you're going for consistency, the being persistent as possible, you have a vision. Nothing's going to get in your way, whatever it takes, right? No, there's no roadblock big enough that's going to stop you from achieving that. It might be a speed bump. To get to where you want to go, but you have to be resilient in this. You have to keep your head down, one foot at a time. My old boss used to always say, just never, ever, ever, ever give up. Just keep going.
mm,
No matter how hard it is, just keep going. And at the cost, and it's funny because it's at the cost of everything. It's at the cost of your spiritual life. It's at the cost of your mental capacity. It's at the cost of your physical body.
mm,
But some people are just wired like that. And I didn't. it defies all logic and good common sense, but that's just how I'm wired. I just have a vision and I'm married to it, and I don't think there's anything that's going to stop it at any point.
I got to read you a quick email. Strange thing for a
Yeah,
podcast here.
sure.
I was talking to a client today. They were talking about a CRM that they were thinking of
Ooh,
investing in,
okay.
and the sales rep from the CRM made a mistake on the price, and the price was actually double what they'd quoted, and
Ooh,
the client was unsure of it. What do I think? And I said, well, I'm probably not the best person to ask for strict cost benefit analysis because I tend to invest in tools with a bit of a I'll make this work
yeah.
mindset rather than how do I justify the cost first. So,
Right.
I'm like you as well. In
Yeah.
general, if I have to do something, I'll go and do it, and then I'll make it
Right.
work. And there's no option in my mind; it has to work.
Right, right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's so when you work with a team, they admire your spirit, they admire your vision, but they're there to help you out, even though you don't believe it at the time. Like, hey, let's
Mm,
slow down and kind of look at this. Like, let's do the stuff that you normally don't do. And when you have a management team or something like that's where the rubber hits the road with that stuff. Are you going to force your narrative on everybody and keep on putting stuff in their way of being successful? Or are you going to finally at
mm,
least listen a little bit and say, okay, let's explore these options, let's take it a little bit slower, let's like think these things out, because like I said, this is where I'm at right now. I've never been like that. I've always been like, no, we're doing this is the way it is, and like, oh, you can, this is business,
mm.
you're going to lose on average, I mean, there's a lot of money you lose, 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, 10,000 a year, depends on your scale, but you're going to lose a lot of money
Right,
making decisions that you think are right at the time,
right.
and you have to learn from that. Like, your failures are your biggest successes, and they're expensive. Just
Tell me about it.
yeah, just get in the pit, man. Just get in with the rest of us and get your hands dirty, because that's what
My
it's going to take, you
accountant,
know.
my accountant loves me. He's like, "What
Oh
is
no.
this thing?" Oh, it was a
Yeah,
new
yeah.
software tool I thought I'd try. Did you ever use it? No. Why did you
Yeah.
pay for an annual subscription?
It's in the graveyard. Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
What about? I'm curious because you were investing in the equipment and you were
Mm.
like, "This is going to work. I'm doing this thing." What about hiring and
Ugh.
actually getting a workforce that could implement your dream?
Totally. Yeah. And this is where luck and blessings and fate and destiny all kind of cross and again a plan, vision. I was like I said, I got those first two guys. And then we started to build a crew. I remember we had our first crew with a day with 5 people. We were like, this is insane. Like, we're crushing work right now. And it was like, well, how much more could we do with more people? And then all of a sudden we had 10 people and they were all fun. I had a crew. I got them tie-dye shirts. This is like 10 of us out there in the field one day with tie-dye shirts on, just having a blast. I mean, we were just rocking through work, destroying everything we came across, having fun, high-fiving, getting our pictures taken, and then, the ubiquitous beer after work with everybody. I mean, it really was like Shangri-La for a little while, and it was really great to spend some time with a lot of those guys. And like, I just went on Craigslist. Here, I
Hmm.
need some guys, and they would show up. It was like the magical whiteboard. Craigslist became the magical whiteboard for that, and Indeed usually, and they would show up. Or here, and then I tell you what, this is the biggest one too, is when you had those guys, they would hire their friends, especially in
Mm,
Colorado. People are moving
interesting.
here all the time.
Right.
Dude, that
Got
single-handedly
it.
built a
Got it.
culture and a business right in there.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very
it was
nice.
cool. It was cool.
And that's what I guess I could be wrong, but that's what people call family in a business,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
it
That's
is.
interesting.
Highly dysfunctional. It's just like a family. You have your good times and you have your bad times, and
Sure.
you got to roll with it. But people in, people out, friends in, friends out, and it always it just evolves to where you are at the present moment. It's
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
awesome to track it.
a business is like an organism, right? It changes.
Mhm.
It changes
Yeah,
over
it is.
time. It never turns into what you think it will be. It has a
No.
mind of its own.
Yeah, yeah. You get afraid to pray after a while. Like, you're gonna answer this prayer. I just don't know how it's gonna show up. Like, please be kind to me, God.
So, what about these regrets?
I have the list is long and sorted, but yeah, I was thinking about that. You had asked that question earlier, in one of those emails, and I really thought about it. I was driving to that estimate that I was doing today, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, the regret being um that you're not really ever ready for what's in store for you. You have these visions of grandeur,
Mm,
and then you get out there, and one thing after another happens. And how you internalize failure, I think, is my biggest regret. I wish that I was mentally stronger, emotionally stronger, emotionally more mature at the time, especially, it's that's an evolution, but how I interpreted people like who wouldn't pay, how I
Mm,
interpreted employees that would quit, how I internalized losing a job on a sale. Like, I want to sell every single job because I know in my heart of hearts that, and this
mm,
is subjective, that we're the best company for everybody out here. We've got, or at least 90% of them, we've got a amazing crew, this and that. I built it. It's very personal to me. And
mm,
you,
mm.
that rejection, and then you have to deal with the abandonment side of
Yeah,
things, the people leaving. And for me, I'm just not, I think someone said that I didn't, having a heart for this thing is a big thing. Like, you don't want to be the ruthless businessman because you want to build this thing on personality. But if your personality is to be like a little sensitive, then every little rejection, everything that
yeah.
doesn't go right for you hurts deep. It cuts deep, and knowing how to handle that, I think, is, I wish I would have handled things like, been like, hey, this is life. This is what it is. Let's move on. And I wish I had been able to do that better because I think that's it.
Yeah, it's difficult though when particularly with what you perceive as rejection,
Hmm.
and it may not be right, but that's how
Right.
as human beings we generally are sort of vulnerable to that kind of thing, especially if you're running a business and you're invested in that because it is
Yeah.
something you built, and yeah, I totally understand that. So you got to be a little tough, and that's a thing that
Mhm.
you learn over time.
Right.
Not to take it personally, I guess.
Right, right. And that comes with, yeah, that comes with experience. Experience
Mm,
builds character, or should, after a while, like, get you at least. And I was telling somebody something that this, after a while, because it's so cyclical, it's almost algorithmic in a sense. I don't know if that's a word, but it
yeah.
becomes like an algorithm. Like, you
Mm,
can almost rely, and not 100% because life always throws you curveballs, but you can almost rely on certain things happening. Your radar is always up. You almost feel it before it happens, and it just becomes reliable, and you can start to almost plan on it. So you still have to trust your gut, but at the same time, really look at data, look at things around you, say, okay, I
mm.
think this is what we're in store for here, guys. Like, let's buckle up, let's make sure this gets done, that gets done, because this is normally the time this happens. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about now? Tell me about your weather down where you are, and the seasons, and
Yeah.
how when does work slow down? When does it slow down? What do you do when it does slow down? I'm
Yeah.
curious because it's cold here.
Hmm. It's,
Some companies have it wired; they're working through the whole winter, and some
yep.
companies are down in the Caribbean sunning
Oh,
themselves,
man. Yeah, let's do that.
which isn't so bad.
Let's do that. Yeah, those people know how to do math. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that. Those are your, yeah, those are your
so
mathematician of business
yeah,
owners.
I'm kind
Yeah.
of curious on seasons and how you keep busy and what you've learned through the years.
Yeah, these are great questions, Graham. And I got to tell you, you go on Instagram and you see the people working in Canada a lot on that, and you're like, it's aesthetically pleasing, but it's just nail biting cold out there, and that someone's losing a toe at some point with the weather,
Oh
and that
yeah,
it's gotta be cold. It's
totally.
gotta be. Those are good guys up there doing that stuff. I'll tell you what, those are, and women too. Those are good character people. But down here, like I said, it's cyclical. It's seasonal. So. We'll start with spring. It's usually a wet spring. We usually have a pretty wet spring, followed by a pretty warm summer. It gets bloody hot after a while. It's really dry. So, you have to drink a ton of water, all that kind of stuff, eat your food. You really have to manage yourself out in the field as far as that's concerned. Fall is absolutely beautiful, but you can have falls, but they only last a week. You get early
Mm,
frosts. I mean, it's really unpredictable. It's Colorado. I mean, this is when people were settling in the United States, they go right by Colorado. They're like, I'm good. It's just weird. Stuff that happens out here is just weird. Hailstorms out of nowhere. We had a tornado in the city, for crying out loud, a few years back. I mean,
mm.
a tornado. Like, it was insane to see that happen. That's never happened before. And
Don't talk to Jason about that. His house got flattened by one in a place that
no.
doesn't get tornadoes.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, he's an architect, so he could design the castle of his dreams. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Still, no, no, it's freaky. It's, yeah. Then that's what we're dealing more, I think, more with now. When did that tornado happen? What year?
Jeez,
Like a long time
it
ago?
was like early 2000s. Yeah,
Mm. Okay,
yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
interesting. It's a massive anomaly. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
have, wind bursts. What do they call those things, that microbursts that come down, and I mean, we dealt with just about, I mean, I knock on wood, almost every single thing you could possibly imagine out here with microbursts, tornadoes, that was the kicker. Um, Hailstorms, everything else. And you go into the seasons and winter's just like anything else. Like, and this is a whole nother chapter of the book right here we're writing. But winter time, preparing for winter out here is, I mean, once again, you have to go back to your numbers. You have to look at that at the beginning of the year. What do you want to
Mm.
end up at the end of the year for profitability? So you know if you can work the winter. Sales is the biggest component with all this stuff. Like you have to have a goal to shoot for sales so that you can support winter work. If the sales aren't there, and if the sales aren't there, you don't have work to produce. So there's no production getting done until it kicks back up next year. Saving every penny is extremely difficult when you have overhead and employees and your own personal stuff too. So there's really a lot of management that needs to go on there to get to winter. We're already thinking about winter next year right now. Me and my
Right.
salesman, the management team, we're already thinking about it.
Mm.
Here's the roadmap for 2026. Here's how we're going to navigate spring, summer, fall, and then here's December. And then, man, like we got to hit these numbers so we can keep people busy January and February because layoffs are the most painful thing to do on the
Mm.
face of the earth, you know?
Mm. Mm. I love that. But the fact that you're thinking about next winter
Oh,
today
yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
epic, and I think there's such a huge lesson for anybody listening to this podcast, and that is know your numbers, but do your planning and do your
Hmm.
forecasting. Whether you hit it or not, don't just take work day by day.
Totally.
It doesn't
Yeah.
work, and that's the difference I think between the people that get stressed in life, or the people that
Mhm.
are just living it day by day, waiting for phone calls to come in,
Right.
and the people who are a little more control seem to be a little stressed, less stressed in a moment.
What is that? That's either reactive or you're strategic, right? That's one of the
Exactly.
first lessons you learn. Yeah. Be strategic. Being reactive leads to, uh-oh,
But
not
you got to
prepared.
be. I think sometimes you got to be told this. Like
Yeah.
it's not a natural thing to implement this strategic vision, right?
It's not because we don't get into this to be mathematicians. We don't get
Right.
into this to be strategic. We want to climb trees.
Right.
And that's what you'll find. I would say I keep on using percentages that don't really aren't real, but
Mm.
the majority of us out here are tree climbers that came from other companies that wanted to go out there and do it ourselves because we were doing ourselves for their company anyway.
Yeah.
And then we get in there, we just want to climb the trees, and I'll have my wife do the books. I'll have this, pop, pop, pop. And then you realize 3 years into it, like, oh man, like I have to manage this. I have to manage numbers. People ask you how much. I was my first the business coach. The first thing goes, how much do you make a week? And I was like 5 grand. He's like, why? And I was like, I don't know, because that's what we do.
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
like, well, here's an idea for you. Like, why don't you look at what you're spending,
Yeah.
what you want for profit at the end of it, and this is how much you should make a week with this amount of guys, this amount of equipment, and that's like I said, that's another chapter of the book is like learning how to take all that information in QuickBooks and compress it and spit out a number to you where and this is huge. How much does each employee cost you per hour when you go to
Mm.
do sales? If we all did this exercise out here in Colorado, we could all make each other more profitable. It's just that the majority of us aren't doing that. So we're just going by feel and be like, I'll just work, I'll just do it for like, an 80% loss. And it's killing everybody. And it's a big
Right.
thing for me. Oh yeah, it's bad. The undercutting stuff, and I get it. I get it. We all want to work and stuff like that. But if we all got together and said, "Hey, this is how we do the math," we'll all come up with a number that's anywhere from probably low end 50%, $50 a man hour up to 150, maybe even above for some of the bigger work. And at least you're narrowing that scope down. Where now we're competitive and we're competing based on quality and professionalism, the stuff we should compete over because the undercutting thing is it's not good for our yeah, for what
Even
we
just
do.
brand and logos, people will do business because they like your hat.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh
even
yeah.
necessarily, do you know what I mean? It's like
Oh yeah, I know.
they relate to they just relate to you in some way, so they're going to do business with you instead of that person over there. And
Right.
and it's not just about money. And I've heard this a number of times. If we could all group together and elevate the industry,
It's
particularly on price,
mhm.
everybody can live a happy life.
Everybody's going to win then. Yeah. And then the narrative will be clear too. The communication between, I mean, you've seen the articles on Google, like how much does a tree trimming cost? And
Mm.
if we had 100 different companies write an article on that, it'd be 100 different answers
Yeah,
all over the place. Yeah.
yeah.
I just think we as an industry should get clear on what we're doing for price. Um, I just believe that just because we're all working
Absolutely.
really hard doing a
Yeah.
dangerous job, and we're not making a lot of money at the end of the day. We're just
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Hmm.
And you got to know your costs. You got to know all of the factors that go into the revenue that you're making, the
Hmm.
profitability. And if you, so my view is if you're that guy or girl who just wants to start a company, really sit down, seriously think about the strategy, think about the costs. Don't just buy a piece of equipment and go for it.
Oh my gosh, you couldn't be more right
So
about that, Graham. Yeah, you couldn't be more right about that. And what does a bucket truck cost these days? The forestry unit, we're talking almost $200,000, and a brand new chipper that used to cost 40,000, like a 12-inch chipper, is now 80,000 or so. I mean, you're already starting off $300,000 in debt. Yeah, a place to park the thing that costs money, fuel, insurances, registration. I didn't think of any of that stuff when I first started. I was like, just give me the thing, it would show up and I would be happy and I'd take the paper and sign it and learn later, like you said, just kind of, yeah, just let's see if it works and we'll learn later how this whole thing works. And here we
which
go.
people do. I mean, that,
Yeah.
that that is a way that you learn from your
Yeah.
mistakes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And learn
We're
from
much
failure.
more strategic about purchasing stuff now. Hopefully, we're going for cash. The pest and disease department, 100% is where you put your money in as far as new purchases go after you've already equipped the tree crew. Like you are just spending money enhancing that division.
So tell me about your divisions.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so we got the tree production is just baked in there. We have to have it. It's what fuels the whole beast, pays the salaries for the people who aren't out there doing the technical work. And reinforcing our narrative to the community through professionalism, aesthetic value, everything, right? And then you have the pest and disease department that just is the peanut butter and jelly with all that. And we trimmed the tree, we pruned it. You love it so much, you spent money on it. Now let's really make this thing a rock star. Let's get some plant growth regulator into that. This thing, the fertilizer. Let's make sure it's getting enough water. Let's get this thing just so it's doing everything it possibly can do to just thrive. And then we bought a turf company, and so now we do turf applications, and it's almost like you have like some sense of control over a piece of property. Turf, roots, it's all
Right.
about the roots. Turf, roots, tree, and we're
Interesting.
good. Yeah, it's
Interesting.
fun.
The full gamut.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Literally.
In a micro sense, right? We're not a $10 million company doing this stuff. We're still a little bit smaller, but it's really cool when you can go to a house and offer everything that they have for their property to take care of it. I love that.
And of course for the customer they can get it from one place,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
huge, right? And that's you do a good job, you're personable, that's what grows long-term relationship.
sure.
Excellent.
Sure, honesty and trust. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's really trust. I mean, they're
Right.
pulling, they're throwing down a lot of money. I mean, you gotta trust the guy that's doing it. That's reinforced with just, all your 5-star reviews. It's reinforced with word of mouth referrals and stuff like that. That's what you want. Because I mean, you can go for the money side of things, which you should. You should definitely make a profit because you want to keep perpetuating the whole thing. But if you really truly believe in what you do and you're uber passionate about it, I mean, tree guys. We're driving down the road looking at trees out the window, going 5 miles an hour on the highway looking at stuff. Well, you see them all over the place. That's all of us. That's what we do. You care that much about the community that you live in and the trees in the community. People feel that, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's the thing that builds the trust. That's what it's all about,
Well,
boiled
you're
down.
you're you're, you're experts. You're not just a person with a chainsaw, right?
Right?
And
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
that's what I notice about a lot of the people I talk to is the
Hmm.
passion for the trees, the passion for the environment, the expertise that's been developed over years. To me, to me, that's premium. And
Hmm.
sorry to say, I think that the customers should be paying premium.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would, if it comes down to your tree stuff that's hanging over your house, dangerous work and all that kind of stuff. I
Mm.
mean, you got to have the right people on site, workman's comp, all the insurances, all that stuff. You need to have those people on your property. It's that important. And one thing goes
Mm.
wrong, and I mean, it's just one thirsty lawyer out there, one hungry lawyer
Yeah,
that wants to get paid. I mean, and
yeah,
you're in the crosshairs because you didn't do your due diligence and didn't get the guy with the insurance. I mean, it's a big dice to roll, I'll tell you.
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. Before I knew anything about the industry, I would look at it as almost a commodity service, the same way that I look at other services that I need
Hmm.
in my house. Even though everybody who comes and I got a plumber coming this afternoon, he is an
Hmm.
expert at what he does.
Yep.
The impression I have maybe is distorted somehow. I don't know how. And I think for arborists, I think a lot of homeowners don't really appreciate what they do and what goes into it until they need to call one.
Yeah, exactly. Or they go try to do it by themselves and they get out there and it's all
Yeah.
fun and games when the stuff is getting cut and you're like, yay. And then you go to clean it up and you're like, oh, what have I done? That's my weekend. It's three
Yeah,
days, you know?
that's
And then
right. Yeah. And I
I got to
did a
throw up my
really bad
car.
job. Now I
Just
have to call
sticks
an
everywhere.
arborist to fix it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you'll get that call 3 years later because the ego thing. You got to like, hey, you know. Oh, it's really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Interesting.
And I have a feeling this is all the same everywhere too. Like I don't know how they do it in Europe. I mean, from what I've heard, the arborists in Europe are revered as demigods
Oh,
basically, and
okay.
it's reflective in their gear. Like having to have a certification, have a chainsaw. Like homeowners can't buy them. You actually have to go like do classes and stuff. Kind
Mm,
of puts
mm,
them a little higher up that
mm.
pedestal when it comes to home services and whatnot. I always thought that'd be a really good idea out here. I mean, I understand that companies want to make money and sell their products to homeowners and stuff like that, but it's a gamble. It's a big gamble, and not having the expertise with what you're buying. These chainsaws have taken a toe or leg or
Oh,
foot,
yeah.
finger, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to do that.
Even in the hands of an expert, right?
Oh yeah, I got my wounds, I got my tattoos. Yeah, you get
Not
them.
just from shark bites, huh?
No, no, no. Couple little nicks here and there.
So what about as your company grows? I'm really curious about software, CRMs, that kind of thing.
Ooh.
The importance and the focus
hmm
you put on the client management. Assuming, um, you know, for annual servicing as well. That's
Oh
important.
yeah.
Keep track of clients and things.
Yeah, this is a great question. This is a great insight too, because there's picking out the one that fits your company,
Mm,
and that's all based on size, right? Their infrastructure has to support your infrastructure. That's the whole thing as it works. And we were actually in the
mm.
process of possibly turning it over. I went from, like I said, with my first business coach, I was operating on Post-it pads and one of those aluminum tins, and he just ripped one off and said, "Okay," and he threw it in the garbage and said, where are your estimates today?" And I was like, "I don't, you threw it in the garbage, so that's that." So. Yeah,
Just
there it
saying, I got
is.
my post-it
Oh,
note here.
I am not allowed to use those anymore because they're so addictive. I love the feel of them, the little sticky side of them, the things you can run, they can just tear them. But yeah, he was like, no, CRM system, this is the size of company you're at. And I think we were at like about a mil at that point. And he was like, here, get into something. So we
Mm.
chose a system. Are you allowed to say it on the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we chose,
recommendations are good.
oh,
Yeah,
hey,
sure. Why not?
I'll speak kindly. We chose single ops. Single ops was one of those. It
Yeah.
offered some of the stuff that we were like, okay, we're interested in client
Mm,
management like this. And
mm,
QuickBooks manages all the invoicing, all that kind of data, all your company data. But the single ops is great for writing estimates, proposals, and all that kind of stuff. And as you get into, then you have to be really careful about this because it's really good for one operation. And then when you run into things like reoccurring services, like with the pest and disease
mm,
department, or PHC as people call it, you're going to have years where you're not doing an Emerald dashboard treatment. It's a 2-year treatment or 3-year treatments, and that CRM system should support that reoccurring type
mm.
estimate type thing or work stuff. So a lot of times, what I found out with this is that you're not going to get everything that you want. That's what Mick Jagger said. That right, you just get what you need. So we're going to just use single ops and we're going to build around it with other systems. And I think
Yeah.
that's for me anyway, that's my advice to you guys who are building a company is find something that fits you pretty well. You can understand it, you can work with it because it does take a while to figure out. It takes a few years to finally get it dialed in.
Right.
And then with AI, just make sure it supports AI because that's huge right now too. Um, and then find people, they're all out there that help you with AI to build around that system. You're going to have to manage clients and certain things offsite. So find those people, build around the system, customize it for you and your company, and think that's the best way to do it. Because once you get, where I think we're 20,000 clients deep now, after 16 years, and we're only managing
Mm,
5,000 right now as
mm.
current clients, and all 15,000 of those clients live in QuickBooks. They live somewhere in your CRM
Right.
system, you know?
Right.
So management of
Cool.
that is crucial. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we have actually Arborist Growth Partners. We now have a software department as well. We're building
Ooh,
tools to, yeah, seriously, we're building
that's
tools
great.
to help us better serve clients, internal tools, because, we have tools, but they don't
Mhm.
all do what we want. So
That's the
we're building our
truth.
own, and
So
that it's very curious. Yeah.
you're
Interesting.
building your own CRM system for agriculture, horticulture.
Uh, we've got a couple of different tools actually that we're building. One of them is a really cool. The latest one is a malware detection tool for websites.
Ooh, nice job.
Automatically scans for malware because we obviously we have clients. Not that I'm doing a sales thing here.
Right.
Um,
Go
and
on.
yeah, we're
What?
considering a CRM as well. Yeah, so
Do it.
lots of stuff going on. And the thing is, there isn't one system that will solve every problem, like you said.
It's true.
Right? You
It's
have to
100% true.
integrate them.
Yeah, no, I'm envious of you because I keep on telling
Yeah,
everybody this. All my friends that I told you moved out from Rhode Island, they're all software architects, and I went
get
to them
into
years ago.
it.
Like, I was like, Bill,
Mhm.
help me build this thing. I didn't know what I was doing back then anyway, so it would have been a big pile. You know what? But
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
yeah,
if we could just, if we, I had the resources to just get into them and be like, hey, this is what we want for our own personal customized
exactly.
CRM system. How
Yeah,
cool that would
exactly.
be.
Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
If
It,
you can solve the riddle of reoccurring clients on in management on that, just call me right away and I'll
I think
drop
it's
everything I'm
easy. I think
doing.
that's an easy problem to solve.
Ooh,
But
we gotta talk then. We're gonna
I'm
talk
an
off site.
I'm a nerd. What can I say?
I love it. Thank you.
Technology is so important these days, and I think I still know people that are using spreadsheets for managing clients.
Sure.
And again, I'm like, well, why can't you use that data, feed that in so you can help yourself get work during winter off season, you know,
Oh yeah.
get in touch with people. Customers need educating as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Oh yeah. That's
why
your
not?
Emma, that's your MailerChimps, things like that that can help you out with
Exactly.
that.
Even a
Yeah.
tool as simple as that. In winter season when you want to do work on certain trees, you need to tell your clients. I'm always sort of aghast when I talk to somebody, we got no work, and I'm standing right next to an oak tree or something. Like
It's always out there. No, it's available. That's a
in the middle of
huge piece
winter.
of it. What's that term for that? My friend Heather knows this. To reticular something. It's this term to describe how often you can probe your current clients, like to the point to the until they get like, please leave me alone, or they
Yeah,
like
yeah,
block you off.
yeah.
They I From what we found out is they don't mind it that much. I mean, they're
No,
what is it? No, so hit them up, let them know it. We did a winter watering blog post and mailer to
Mm,
all those guys a few weeks back when it started getting dire out here, and the response was great. How do I do this? How do I do that? It turns into a conversation at that point
right.
where you call me, you're like, hey, I'll come over and hang out with you if you want. And at that point, you see there's something obvious that needs to get done. There's your $450 job you just scored for going out there to talk to them, and you're helping everybody in that case.
Well, now you're getting into what's a sales funnel and why should somebody
Mm.
starting their own company understand the different parts of the sales funnel from awareness right down to ready to buy,
Oh, you're speaking my language.
right?
Yeah, that's a beautiful language you're speaking right now. This is the stuff you get to. I mean, you might be blessed with that from the very beginning, but if you stick around long enough and you get to that point where you figure that funnel out
Mm,
and you see the beauty in it and the fact that it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Like you're there to help. They're there to keep you busy and fed, and you're there to make their property look as beautiful as possible.
mm.
So there's no weirdness with that. You're working together to make it work, and then, like I said, reoccurring. How do you keep on? How many times do you go out
Yeah,
there? How many?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think sometimes we feel, no matter what business we run, we feel a little bit dirty to be doing the sales. But the truth of the matter is, we can help you and we want to
Mhm.
help you and you want us to help you.
Totally.
What's the problem?
Yeah. There's no problem whatsoever, and you'll get feedback. So we were talking about like how the bigger companies kind of do their thing. They'll
Mm,
go out there for like just a shrub removal and then write up a 10-page proposal on everything on their property. At first we were like, we foo-fooed it because it's too much. You're killing the client with information. It doesn't feel personal. But then after a while, you realize that's not the worst thing that you can do. Tell them
right.
everything. And then call them, and then I mean, just don't leave it. Don't ever like here's your War and Peace novel on how to take care of your yard. Call them right afterwards. Hey, I just sent this to you. I gave you everything in your property. Let's go through it line by line and talk about what's the most important thing we got to look at for your 2026 plan.
Like I'm going to know,
Yeah, yeah,
right? I need
yeah.
somebody to
Yeah,
tell me.
totally.
That's the reality
Totally.
of it. What about
Yeah.
books? What books do you read? I mean, to be
Hmm.
somebody like you who has such an awareness of business and where you're going, you've got to read books.
Yeah. So this is funny that you say that. I glean my information um because I feel so I hire business coaches for the knowledge, right? So I don't
That's
read a
good
lot.
advice.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, the best thing I ever did was hire my first business coach because like I said, the post-it pad guy, the processes guy, like we'll got to
Mm.
talk about processes and make sure that we earmark that because processes are everything in a company. Um, oh my gosh, where were we? Sorry, I just got sidetracked.
Books.
Books. Thank you. Um, Books. I read Hemingway. I love Hemingway. Old Man in the Sea. I will tell you something about this book. Old
Nice.
Man in the Sea. It's the story of you building a business and getting to a certain point of finally getting the thing you've always wanted. And it sounds really really depressing. Just to have sharks kind of eat it on the way back to the shore. That's what can happen to you if you're not. I don't know what further story I gleaned off of that. That book made me so aware that even if you get what you want it's gonna be difficult to keep it, you know? So
Mhm.
so the fight's real and you gotta be all hands in on that stuff. And my business coaches gave me books and I read some of them, but I read a lot of articles, podcast stuff too. Um, but yeah, I get a lot of information from Hemingway, Bible.
Do you know
Yeah.
what? I think that's the most epic book recommendation for a business owner ever.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, it
It
just
is.
it just happened.
And what about processes? Let's have a quick chat about those before we
Ooh.
wrap up.
Okay, so tendon processes. That's what if you look at your company, you're not going to show up somewhere. You're going to be showing up at a lot of places, but a lot of places you're not going to show up. And I think Marcus Lemonis, he did the profit, he did all that kind of stuff. He enlightens that kind of stuff. If you have somebody walk into your shop, they're going to know within 5 seconds what your company's all about. How do the saws look? What's the process, right? And he would walk into some of these businesses and be like, what is this? Like, where's
Mm.
the food? Where's the this? Where's that? And if you watch that and you like, you really kind of digest it and you go into your shop and you don't see a process for saw repair. You don't see a process, and that's at the very micro level. That's how the whole company's built. So have a process from the smallest thing. How does everybody show up every single morning?
Mm.
What time do they show up? Make everyone aware what those processes are. Have them written out, laminated, put on the wall, QR codes on it so you can send everybody if they're questioning. How do you start a chainsaw? We all start the same way. We should. How do you how do you start a chipper up? When do you grease the chipper? Like these
Mm.
processes, and
Mm.
that will lead to and blossom into how you show up in the field. What are your processes with sales? And the more everyone's aware of what the processes are, it really galvanizes the culture to be like, okay, we're all doing this. It's not just one person doing whatever
Yeah.
they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's everything. Processes for the CRM system, processes for
Mm.
getting paid. I mean, they got to be written down. How do you onboard an employee? How do you offboard an employee? Like you have to have processes that live somewhere that's accessible.
And those processes are going to be different for every company. So
Hmm.
you're going to have to make them and implement them as you go.
Yeah,
And that's going
absolutely.
to take years to do that, I guess, as you grow.
Do you do you agree with that? Have you seen that like that being a major like stumbling block?
I like we have processes for everything
Yeah, yeah, you have
because
to.
without them, we would be so disorganized,
Right,
and
right,
it's just you can't wake up in the morning, go do something, and then wake up in the morning and do the same thing another way.
right,
It's
right.
and have to think about it. How
Yeah,
do I
yeah.
do this?
Right. And you learn from other people. All of a sudden, now
Right,
what's that little thing? Everyone's doing their own thing. Now it's time to play our game. Everyone's kind of got a different technique. And that's when you know it's a frayed process and you got to get
right,
back to the basics again.
exactly. And it's all
Yeah.
about things running smoothly so that you can ultimately do the best job possible in the shortest amount of time, the most
Right.
efficiently, so you can grow
Exactly. We have to say the
and
word safety.
safely.
Safely. Yeah, yeah. I always forget
Safely.
that one.
Well, I don't do things
Right.
safely. You do.
We're
So,
rock climbers.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there's that.
yeah. What's that word
Yeah. I
even
mean,
mean? Yeah.
Interesting. So, what else can you tell us before we leave? Any other bits of information here? Because I could go on forever, but I've got a plumber coming
Ooh.
to fix
Okay,
my
yeah.
drains.
I will tell you this. We talked a lot today about, you talk a lot, you get in down the rabbit hole of technical stuff in this job that can suck the romance out of it. Numbers sucks the romance out of tree climbing. All that stuff, processes suck out the romance of just showing up with a cup of coffee and getting after it with a chainsaw. It does. Um, what what I'm learning with this whole thing. because getting to it is especially we can't even describe what it is or like the promised land, whatever that is.
Mm.
I think that our job and what I'm going to focus on going forward, I have a lot of people that agree with me out here with this stuff. Maybe we're not out here to do tree work per se. Maybe we're out here to spread joy and love in our community and be as much of the help as possible. Um, Personally, and then again for the environment, keeping this thing going out here. Like I said, we don't want to lose any shade out here. So we're hell bent on making sure everybody gets what they need out here to keep these things
Right.
going. And I want to spread as much joy and love out there as I possibly can. With the climate, with the way the world is right now, we need more lovers, we need more huggers, and
Yeah, we do.
that's what we're here for. You
That's
know,
awesome.
yeah, that's what we came up
I
with.
I would love to. I'd love to have you on a podcast again in the future if you would join me. It would be amazing to
Yeah.
circle back on some of this information here because I think you got a lot more to give. But
Oh,
where
thanks,
can
Graham.
where can people find you?
Oh, they can find us at fieldingtreecare.com online. Um, you can call my personal number if you want. No, but you can get us on, you can text me
Careful with
only. Yeah, yeah, right.
that.
What did I do? Social media, you gotta hit us up on Instagram. I mean, Facebook, of course, too, but Instagram has, we started doing some ads and we got a videographer in and doing some fun stuff. And that's where you're going to see a lot of cool stuff this year. Like we're really,
Nice,
really going to focus on the just being an expert in the field for managing pest and disease, along with the tree work that we do. And it's going to be informational and passionate. But that's the place to find us. Hit us up on Instagram. Hit us up on Facebook. Look at the website. Check it out. And I'm open to any and all feedback from everybody. I just anything that's going to make this company better, or any way I can help anybody. My gosh, please
beautiful,
don't hesitate. Yeah.
beautiful. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you too. It was awesome.
Take
Appreciate
care
you.
of yourself, man.
You too.
Bye bye.
See ya.